My mama. Thanks so much for your mild welcome. Yeah, it's really cool. I'll be dead or alive. Thank you so much.
Well,
I'm the
you
600th.
came late.
I know, well, I was somewhere else doing another show. But life's like that. So the 100th time I gave up poetry, I was in Sydney at the house of a healer. And she had a dislocated neck, so I was her chauffeur. Went to the Wayside Chapel, which is where the sort of spiritual centre of the Sodom and Gomorrah known as Sydney is concentrated. It's where all the healers go because that's where all the heroin addicts, prostitutes and every other person sort of congregates. So as you know, there's wherever there's poison, there's an antidote. Wherever there's homeopathy says, wherever there's darkness, there's light. It's all a great puzzle. But I digress. I was there, and my friend worked for Channel 7. He had been my photographer at the newspaper, but he said, come on down, there's a healer coming. And I said, well, why? And he said, well, we're going to try and unmask him on television. They're going to prove him a fraud. So I thought, okay, this looks interesting. So I went down, and he came from Virginia, and he had ideas like they had a problem with rabbits on the organic farm they had. And they decided the answer was to give a small space on the farm to the rabbits. The rabbits would only eat the green crops there, and it actually worked. And I thought, well, this implies consciousness more than ours. So I listened to him, and then I watched, and I saw these women, these elderly women at the side of the wall there, who were focused intently on him. And he said, does anyone need healing? And I thought, okay, here's a go. Put my hand up, and he looked straight at me and said, there's nothing wrong with you. And I realised then, okay, we're dealing with some superior magic here. So, I said, okay, I was just trying to help, but don't worry about it. So then, later on, these women said, he's giving another lecture, would you like to come? And I said, well, normally I test things. If I'm invited to something, I wait 3 times to see if it's an authentic experience or not. So I sat outside the lecture hall, and 3 times I was invited to come in. But it was a highly expensive thing. You know, being a New Age guru is a highly lucrative enterprise for some people. So I waited 3 times and I went in. I met this woman who worked with Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, dealing with people who were near death. And the healer did the intensive, and then said, look, you've been very kind to me. All these people have paid hundreds of dollars, you know, $1,000 to see you and all the rest of it, but you let me in for free. What can I do for you? He said, well, take the meditation. I said, I've never done that. He said, it's a rainbow meditation. Anyone can do that. So I did. And then all these people who knew me from other places said, how come you're here? You know, you're the man who doesn't believe in anything. I said, well, I don't believe in anything, but I'm still here. Why do I have to believe in things to be here? So that led me to healing at the Wayside Chapel. We work with cancer patients and people near death. And I stopped doing that when I noticed that the people coming in who had cancer all had one thing in common. And what was that? They were angry. Their anger was more important to them than healing. The other thing I noticed about the New Age world is that the same 300 people who would come and pay hundreds of dollars to see a guru this week would be the same 300 people who would come if a new guru came through the next week. They weren't there to be healed. They were there to be part of a spectacle. They weren't there to transform or change. So I realized that, okay, there are other worlds, and there are other Akashic records, and there are other ways of understanding, and there are other worlds and realms, but I like this body, and I like this time. I know that time is not necessarily a straight line, and that people standing in a couple of metro stop experience a different sense of time than people on a scooter, and on a skateboard, and in a bus, and in a car, and in a fast car. They're all different time zones, and we all live in different time zones and different reality zones. So that has nothing to do with these times. Because I thought to myself, wow, you know, maybe they'd be interested. Okay, I'll get there. I'll get there. I understand.
I'm gonna cut that off.
So it's really good because they also took me to this New Age place in the Blue Hills. The Blue Hills, Lawson, Blackstone and Wentworth went through this natural escarpment called the Blue Hills, where a lot of artists and philosophers and that were based. It's a very spiritual area. And they had a New Age community there. And so I went out there, checked it out, and we did things like pendulum work and what do you call it when you touch objects and can feel their history. What's that called? Come on. The lodge is not, come on. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What matters is that happened. But then they said, come on, we're going to Sydney. I said, what are we going to Sydney for? We're going to get bows and arrows. I said, what are we going to do that? We just had a vision. What's the vision? The end of the world's coming. People are come and steal our food. I said, well, why would you defend a peaceful community with violence? I'm out of here. So I left. And then I read these poems. We're not the only planet to sustain life forms that respond. Older Moon and Mars show evidence of water, now dry as dust and holes and bones. We seek aliens via SETI, but SETI uses radio. Aliens don't use radio. Blues and greys, human abductions, cattle mutilations, things happen that do not seem to have a cause that we can believe in. Conspiracy theories allow us to project our paranoias. Yeah, I get published every day in this thing called Gonzo. Gonzo is based in a little cottage in Devon. And the guy there is in charge of evidence for things like missing creatures, you know, things that are supposed not to exist. And he's affiliated to a group called the Anomaly Archives in Austin, which tries to find evidence for Bigfoot and for Loch Ness Monster and all the sort of phenomena that is paranormal and is on the edge of our world of perception. It has nothing to do with this. So conspiracy theories show us how to project our paranoias to imagine ETs and mutant life forms different to ours, while we refuse to see them when they are actually living deep in our oceans, where visible light is rare and creatures have to mutate to survive. We do not have to leave our planet to see and seek divergence. The answer is not out there, it's here in this room all along. Okay, now it's a sing-along. You all got your sing-along sheet? Would you sing with me? Okay. Just we'll sing it together slowly so that everyone is happy. And on with the show. Ready? Otherworldly intrigues. That's your part.
Otherworldly intrigues.
Why don't we read it all together? There's a time warp in this room. You know? It's sort of like, whoa. It's like living in Bastrop and coming back into Austin.
This is for parts of us that already left.
Yes, that's it. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Parts of us have already left. We have an international space station. Entry via Russian rockets only. We have satellites orbiting, spy, weather, media, and other. We have debris, blueprints, and a flag on the moon. We have a camera on Mars. Our movies and science fiction created imaginary canals on Mars, but we know there was water once. And water is a sign of life, so we pollute ours and do not recycle 100%. And we have sent probes to investigate other planets. They transit back, and the pics show us space, dust, distances, and stars. Just like Hollywood, only deeper, darker, and more silent. Space sings. You can hear pulse in recordings with hums and drones. Parts of us, like Elon Musk, are already selling seats to space. But the deepest, darkest space still to be explored is within us.